Let's bring it back home now. In Australia's economy, it's pretty obvious to anybody, is in a funk right now. It'd be close to or in recession if it weren't for government spending. The problem is that public investment now is at a record rate, according to the Bureau of Statistics today. It's holding inflation higher for longer, which is forcing the Reserve Bank to also keep interest rates higher for longer. But after the GDP came in for the September quarter at just 0.3%, the annual rate of 0.8%, also much weaker than forecast, money markets, as Ed said, have brought forward their expectations of the first RBA rate cuts from May to April next year. Now, the heart of the economic problem is households. They continue to go backwards. GDP per capita, in other words, the amount of economic output per person, it's fallen for 7 straight quarters now. Households are in recession. That's almost 2 years. And that's despite tax cuts, energy bill support from governments and wage increases as well. What happened is that families used much of that money to pay down their mortgages a bit more quickly. You can see that in a tick up to the household savings ratio. And where people did have spare cash, well, they travelled overseas. That was up 9.9% for the quarter alone. Well, someone who's explained all of this economic funk to you for some time now is Warren Hogan, economic advisor at the small business lender Judo Bank, who joins me now. Warren, these numbers are a surprise, surely, to the government. They're about to go to an election. The economy's in a funk, but it's the households that are feeling it. And you don't have to really tell anybody that households going backwards are unhappy households when it comes to politics.
Well, they are, and it was surprising how weak consumption was in the quarter. That was a big part of the miss. It's not great for the government in terms of trying to portray how the economy's going.
The government says no, wages are going up. Basically, we've got equality in wages coming. I heard the Treasurer this afternoon talking about this. They're trying to spin this somehow into being good news. It's not. It's bad news for Australia.
It doesn't paint a good picture of this economy, and there's a lot of complexity to it. The number one problem is we're a capacity-constrained economy. The governments of Australia are spending, and that's crowding out the private sector. The household sector is being held back by inflation, the squeeze on their disposable income. But the good news is there is signs of that improving in the quarter.
Treasurer says inflation's coming down. All is good. We're working hard to bring down the inflation rate. Is it the government? I thought the government was actually the cause of the inflation rate because of record government spending, according to the Bureau of Stats today.
We have record government spending. We've now surpassed, on the measures I used, the pandemic level highs. And we've seen government spending as a share of the economy shift up in the last decade by 25%, from about 22% to 28%. This is a radical shift in the structure of our economy, which, of course, in a world that's capacity constrained, puts pressure on inflation, but it's the government competing with the private sector for staff, for tradies, for everything. And that's
because so many people now are reliant on government for their job.
There's a lot of that, and there's a lot of construction activity that's reliant on infrastructure projects and other government activities. So look, this is a very complex economy, and a lot of it comes down to this big surge in government spending. It's not sustainable, and that is an issue that has to be addressed. The investment side, I'm never going to argue with, because we need infrastructure. It's the recurrent spending that needs to be addressed.
We've seen this